Everyone makes mistakes, everyone has those days, even the heroes of the Justice League. Unfortunately though, that sometimes means they get completely booted off of the Justice League. For example, Batman. Batman is a planner. That's why the amount of prep time he is given is a major point to cover when talking about whether or not he can take on another character. So yeah, he is a master strategist and tactician. But you know what Batman really sucks at? Communication. I think most of his interpersonal problems can be attributed to the fact that Batman sucks with other people. But it became an absolutely massive problem when it came to the Tower of Babel storyline. You see, Batman had come up with the contingency plans for all his fellow Justice League members, just in case any one of them, or all of them, are corrupted, become mind controlled, or turn evil. And you know how many times that has happened? Like, a lot. So that kinda makes sense. He's not wrong for doing that, and as an added bonus, all of his plans were to detain and incapacitate only. But Bats didn't tell any of his members about the fact that he had these plans. His need to be in control and the lack of trust he had in his other teammates led directly to Ra's al Ghul stealing his plans, altering them to be deadly, and bringing the League to its knees. At the end of the day, the Justice League felt they just couldn't trust Batman anymore, and they put his membership on the team to a vote. It came to a 3-3 tie, with Superman needing to make the final vote, but before he could, Batman had predicted the vote and decided to leave of his own accord. Now nerds, if you have been diligently watching this channel for a while now, you shall be aware of my disdain for the blight on humanity known as Snapper Carr. This wisecracking teenage honorary member of the Justice League is just the worst. Brought on to the team as like a weird kind of mascot so that this team of adults had some kind of connection to the cool young people, he came in slinging slang and snapping his stupid little snapper fingers. Surprising no one, Snapper started to really fall off in his popularity, so DC wrote him out of the league. Feeling underappreciated because he does nothing and kinda sucks, Carr allowed himself to be duped by a disguised Joker. Carr led him right into the Justice League headquarters at the time and helped the Joker capture Batman. Do you know how bad that is? Joker has done some of his worst things to people much lower on his list than Batman. This was one huge reason the League forever abandoned their longtime base. Needless to say, Carr was booted from the League. Now Snapper Carr is one thing, but he is hardly alone in the land of hate. In the wise words of Yoda, no, there is another. And his name is Gardner. This Green Lantern has one of the biggest egos on the League, so much so that it's led to him being knocked out cold by Batman, laughed at by the rest of the League, and in JLA Secret Files #2, it got him booted out by Batman himself. Now side note, the way Batman constantly makes a fool of this man is probably my favorite Batman thing ever. This came during the Gardner warrior phase, where he decided to don face paint, knee pads, and walk around with like no shirt all the time. It was really weird, but it also happened to be a time that he thought he could become the leader of the JLA. While Batman and Aquaman were trying to reform the League, Gardner decided to sit and wait for the rest of the League to show up to the headquarters, and then he cockily claimed that as the de facto leader, nobody could eject him from the team. All it took was a good old stare from Batman, and Guy just went right back on his words almost immediately and stormed out of the Justice League. Now one of the conflicts that reared its head in Philip Kennedy Johnson's run on Action Comics, aka Superman's book, was the surprise arrival of Thao La and a group of Kryptonian refugees. These refugees were chased by Mongols' war zoons, and it resulted in their ship being wrecked in the ocean. However, on board this ship was a powerful cosmic artifact known as the Genesis Fragment. Now since the ship crashed in the ocean, the Atlanteans ended up discovering the fragment. This led to a conflict between both the Atlanteans and the Navy. So, Superman decided to take things into his own hands. Meaning, he took the fragment into his own hands. He took the fragment. In Action Comics number 1035, after saving Thao La, the League show up to the Fortress of Solitude, and Superman guesses that they are there to boot him out of the League. And they are. According to Hippolyta and Hawkgirl, taking the fragment, which technically belongs to Kryptonians, ticked off the Atlanteans, the UN, and the US military, and the League has to work with the world's governments, so he is kicked out of the team. Is it dumb? Incredibly, but Superman was more concerned with saving the captured Kryptonian refugees anyways, so whatever. And he got back on the team. Doesn't matter. Now the Justice League can only function as the world premier superhero team by adhering to a strict code of ethics, morals, and rules. Unsurprisingly, one of those rules is not breaking people's necks, and Wonder Woman missed the memo on that one. Nah, she actually knew exactly what she was doing. In Wonder Woman number 219, part of Greg Rucka's The OMAC project, which saw Maxwell Lord using OMAC to both control and wipe out metahumans on Earth, Lord used his mind control abilities to turn Superman into a wrecking ball, causing mass destruction. And so, Diana felt that she was left with, quote, no option, and she brutally snapped Lord's neck, ending his earthly existence instantly. This resulted in Batman's brother eye activating and broadcasting her completely stone cold face and actions across the entire world. While Wonder Woman stood by her decision, a lot of the League did not. One of which being Superman, who couldn't even look her in the eye, which is pretty stupid when you think about it. I've seen Man of Steel, Superman. I saw what you did to General Zod. You're not innocent here. But if you think Wonder Woman and Henry Cavill are the only League members who have turned someone's head into a merry-go-round, well, look no further than the trial of Barry Allen. When the Reverse Flash was attempting to take the life of one Fiona Webb, the Flash managed to grab his nemesis from behind at super speed, and this accidentally snapped the villain's neck. This got Barry pretty promptly arrested and charged with manslaughter, and got him put on trial. Similar to Batman during the Tower of Babel, the Justice League are torn right down the middle on whether or not go or stay, leaving it, once again, up to Superman to decide. But unlike Batman, Barry actually waits for Superman's answer, and he waits, because it took 3 issues for Supes to actually reveal his decision. Barry ended up being reduced to a probationary member pending the results of his trial, but Barry decided to take it into his own hands and left the League, leaving him a lot of free time to worry about his actual trial. But that's far from the only time that someone got booted for the old ending of a life thing. In fact, with the Justice League having a no-killing rule, you'd think they wouldn't take on members who are known to do that. But they do. They definitely do. And one of them is Bat family member Huntress. While Batman stands by his no-killing rule, his family members don't necessarily follow suit. And when the JLA villain Prometheus attacks the Watchtower and specifically goes after Barbara Gordon, aka Oracle, Helena decides that he has got to go. And honestly, given how big of a threat Prometheus is, I kinda see why she feels that way. Batman, however, does not feel that way. He stops Helena before she can do the deed and fires her from the League on the spot for even trying. It's cold. And it's a little interesting coming from the guy who beats up regular criminals so bad that they probably have lifelong health issues, but alas, morals. Now it's kinda surprising that this next one even happened, but it also proves to me that the Justice League clearly don't do any in-depth background checks. And they have Batman and Cyborg, so it should be like super easy. I guess they overlook things when you do something even mildly heroic. Rhonda Pineda, aka Atomica, found herself on the Justice League after she managed to defuse an Atlantean explosive device. That's all it took, and boom, full trust and admiration on the League. Well, if anyone cared to look a little bit deeper, they may have come to find that Atomica was not even from that universe. Atomica hailed from Earth 3, home of the evil version of the Justice League known as the Crime Syndicate of America. And surprise, she was one of their main members. Atomica eventually reveals herself when she plants a virus in Cyborg that turns him into the evil Grid, and she brings her entire crime syndicate to Earth, leading them to take over, and requiring the villains to step up to save the world. Lex Luthor, who led this group of heroic villains, kindly let Atomica know that she was off the League as he squished her under his boot. Now I know people like to make fun of Aquaman, but people who actually read the comics know that he's kind of a huge badass. One of the most boss moments he had came when he decided to fire basically everyone from the Justice League. Did it go well long term? No, but it was incredibly bold and kind of justified. In Justice League Annual number 2, a JLA satellite got completely destroyed, and it's all because a whole bunch of the Justice League members couldn't actually pull themselves away from their personal issues that they were going through. But this is their job. They have a responsibility that is higher than themselves and their personal problems. Needless to say, Aquaman is pretty peed off. Now, being an original charter member of the League, Aquaman makes a pretty drastic decision when he decides to kick out every superhero who won't promise to commit themselves wholly and exclusively to League activities. This left us with Elongated Man, Martian Manhunter, and Zatanna, which is like a good group, but hardly top sellers. This resulted in a completely new league being formed. While you may not agree with his decision, it was incredibly bold, and I think it probably put a few members in their place. But that's all I got. Thank you guys so much for watching here on Top 10 Nerd. I'm Adam Andrews. I will catch you all on the flippy flop, but until then, you stay safe, and peace out, nerds.